Now, the pundit and the former Manchester United and England footballer Gary Neville is hit out following the terror attack in Manchester. Now, he's received a ton of backlash for his diatribe about Britain's fastening St George's and Union flags to lampposts. Let's take a little listen.
All being turned on each other, and the division that's being created is absolutely disgusting. Mainly created by angry, middle-aged white men who know exactly what they're doing.
A loud bang in the background. Perhaps that was a middle-aged white man did that too. Let's now speak to the Conservative commentator Chris Rose. Chris, welcome to the show. You're there up at the Manchester Tory Party conference. Now, unless I'm misracing you and misgendering you, you don't appear to be an angry, middle-aged white man, but you're not particularly happy about what Gary Neville has said. Why not?
No, I thought it was very typical of a liberal elitist like Gary Neville to avoid speaking about the obvious elephant in the room, Islamic extremism, and blaming an easier target such as middle-aged white men for holding up the nation's flag. I mean, the reason why people are doing it is for, to get a sense of pride again, and also when people are protesting against illegal migration in places like Epping, for example, where only recently an asylum seeker was actually jailed for actually sexually assaulting a teenager and attempted to sexually assault another adult female as well. So they are protesting that, and they're holding up the flag in pride and in defiance. And I think the people trying to divide us are actually the people like the jihad who actually tried to murder and attack Jewish people. It's not middle-aged white people who I am personally afraid of. I think it's fine to hold up the nation's flag, and I think more people should do it and actually address the elephant in the room, which is Islamic extremism.
Yeah, it's quite the leap of faith to blame a synagogue attack by an Islamic terrorist to suddenly make out that it's patriots for St George's flag. It's quite the mental gymnastics. Another thing that came out in the story, Chris, though, was that he mentioned, funnily enough, on one of my development sites last week, there was a Union Jack flag put up, and I took it down instantly. And of course, people have been going through old videos where Gary Neville seems rather reluctant to sing the national anthem. Has the real Gary Neville been hiding in plain sight all along? An England player who perhaps actually hates his country?
It does look like he hates his country. It does look like he, for some odd reason, hates his own skin colour to say such a remark and tarnish a load of middle-aged white men, which he actually falls into the category of as well. I think when people do that, they often try to blame categories such as easier targets on things which have nothing to do with them. And it's certainly, Jewish people are certainly not afraid of the flags that are put up. I think they're absolutely great as an ethnic minority myself. I think I'd love to see even more Union flags displayed and more St George's flags on show as well. And people should certainly be proud to be British. They should be proud to be English. That is not divisive at all. The people who are dividing us, so like I say, the people who shouldn't have really been in the country, they were allowed to come in, and then they decided we're going to try and murder people. Because the jihad's father as well, he actively celebrated the Hamas attacks. To me, people like that are the divisive ones, not middle-aged white people at all.
What is it about the commentariat, the lovies, the people like Lineker, people like Neville? They all seem to have the same mindset, and that they've made a ton of money in their life. They used to be working class, and now they become something very, very different. Why do they do it? What's in it for them?
I think it's because once they've entered a certain, wage bracket, they're, millionaires. The policies they support no longer affects them. They don't have to see demographic changes in working class areas. They can ignore it. They can support, refugees welcome. But when a refugee turns out to be someone who tries to murder someone, it doesn't affect them personally, so they can just ignore it. They don't have to deal with the effects of Islamic extremism because it's not in their neighbourhoods. Ironically, a lot of these neighbourhoods which are, millionaire neighbourhoods are overwhelmingly, majority of them are white. So they push for diversity, but they live in the least diverse areas.
I think you're exactly right. I think you've nailed it. Thank you very much for coming on today. Chris Rose there, joining us live from the Manchester Conservative Party conference. Absolute pleasure. Please come on the show again. Cheers.
We're living in a time of what feels like pretty significant social change, and it makes us question things that we've even taken for granted for decades. And one of those at the moment that people are wondering about is actually money. Is the money in your bank account safe? Should you be investing elsewhere? Are we looking at a potential global crash? What will it mean for your savings? Is there a way that you could be using your money that might be outside of government control even? Well, TallyMoney is potentially one solution. So I'm delighted to say that I'm joined today by the CEO and founder of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. What is TallyMoney?
Well, at TallyMoney, you basically get gold you can spend. So we give people an individual account in their name, everyday account. They get a sort code, an account number. They use that account just like they would pounds from their bank, but it's milligrams of gold that we brand as Tally.
Okay. Why would you do that, though? What is the benefit to the customer instead of just having a normal pound sterling account?
Gold's performance against the pound is above 11% per annum over the last 25 years on average. But we still need money in our daily lives, and we have savings. We know that it's good common sense and prudent to save up for things, not just live in credit. You know, whether it's a holiday or a rainy day, your retirement planning, you need to have money in your life, basically, that you can rely on, that's dependable, that nobody meddles with, that nobody can weaponise against you, which is another element of government control when it's the government currency, which we could talk about another time. And it should be pretty simple and straightforward, and that's what we deliver at Tally. And really, we just want people to feel safe and happy with their money. There was a time when the bigger your bank balance, the more confident you felt. Now it's like, I need to do something with it. I can't leave it there. In Tally, you can.
Okay, brilliant. Cameron Parry from TallyMoney. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bev.
Yes, the very middle-aged white men who probably went and watched you play football. And every time you supported the England flag and the England outfit, and we've got plenty of images of him doing that. Well, joining me now is commentator and podcast host Sunil Sharma. Sunil, is this just a case of privileged white male talking absolute nonsense, denigrating others simply for being patriotic about their own country?
100%. You know, you said it there. Gary Neville, maybe he's forgotten, his whole career has been built off middle-aged white men supporting him at Man United, supporting him for his country. That's how he made his millions. Maybe he's forgotten with all his new ventures he's doing now, but that's predominantly what put Gary Neville on this platform. And he seems to have completely forgotten that. He had no problem wearing the England shirt, waving the England flag when he represented England. Now he has a problem when other people do it. It is pure hypocrisy coming from him. And again, I don't think we should be surprised. This is a man in 2022, before the World Cup, had a lot of things to say about Qatar, heavily criticised the country, then decided to go to Qatar, take the millions from Qatar, and be a pundit during the World Cup. He has absolutely no morals or no understanding of what everyday people in Britain go through. He's so privileged and so out of touch with the realities of the United Kingdom that he thinks that he can somehow twist an attack that happened towards a Jewish synagogue and make it about white middle-aged men, make it about the Union Jack, make it about the St. George's flag. It's crazy, and it's beyond belief that somehow he's been able to try and associate those two things, because it makes absolutely no sense.
Well, he seems to be conflating what I saw as an act of racist terrorism with people, white males, supporting, holding England flags and being patriotic. I'm not really sure how there's a connection. I'm with you on that. I just don't understand why these quite influential individuals who have literally made their success from being patriotic and being part of this country and representing this country actually then have the gall to denigrate anybody who dares do the same.
I think the problem with somebody like Gary Neville, maybe he doesn't watch GBNews enough. You look at yourself and me, we're not white middle-aged men, and we're both proudly patriotic of the United Kingdom. And I think he's so out of touch with the realities of the United Kingdom anymore. Maybe because he's become so privileged that the circles he swims about, the circles he's now in, he's lost any sort of compassionate idea for what the average white working person goes through, just general people, white, not white or whatever, like working class people. I think he's so out of touch. It doesn't matter that maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago, he maybe was working class. I think now he's so out of touch with it. He thinks that these are the issues, or he thinks these are serious issues. Maybe he should spend more time actually talking to the fans at Old Trafford, talking to his old, the supporters that go to games on a regular basis, actually talking to proper football fans. And I'm sure they will tell him what exactly they feel, because that's where he's made his money from. And I think he's very quickly alienating a lot of those people, and I think it's a real shame. This is somebody who was never necessarily the most talented footballer, but a lot of people appreciate him for the incredible hard work he did, his dedication to his country, to his flag, and I think he got a lot of respect for that throughout his career. But he seems to have forgotten all of that, and now he seems to want to tarnish his own name, tarnish his own image, which I think is really depressing.
I think you also make a very good point that people who are patriotic aren't just white males. There are plenty. It means that in his mind he's thinking that the British or English person is white, whereas that's not quite true, is it? I mean, I'm British, I'm black, I would support the flag, I've got a Union Jack dress, I'm very proud, I was born in Newcastle, I'm a Geordie. Yes, my parents, I have African heritage, that's where my parents are from, but I am ultimately an alien in Ghana because I don't really know their ways, their customs, their traditions, but I'm proud that I have this as my heritage. But I'm British, I like my ketchup, my fish and chips, do you know what I mean? I'm a true Brit and I support the flag. And I would have supported England at a World Cup any day of the week. Does that make me one of those white males that he's talking about?
100%. Like myself, I always watch football games. Okay, I don't support the same team as Gary Neville, but I'm always watching England play. Wear the England T-shirt. Is that now an issue? If I wear an England flag, am I the same as one of these white English males that he's associating with? And it's crazy that he even thinks like this. He played alongside many mixed race, many black players. His teammates were from all over the place, and for him to now sit there and make these comments, and what makes even worse is he would have played at Man United with so many international players who were. All of them would have been so patriotic about their specific countries, whether it's Argentina, Brazil, across Europe. And a lot of these football players are so patriotic about their country. You could argue for some of them, they're even more patriotic for their home countries than they are for their club. And that's always a criticism sometimes we say to England players. And for him not to understand that the basic root of, if you are born in Britain, regardless of your skin color, you should be patriotic. You should care about your country. You should wave the flag. You should be. I think that the issue maybe he's conflating is, I think when we talk about nationalism in the UK, it's always associated as a bad thing. We talk about World War II and all this sort of stuff, but everyone should be a bit nationalistic. You should be proud of your roots in your country. And I think Gary Neville's really missed a point there, because I'm sure if we asked Gary Neville 10, maybe a bit longer, 15 years ago, when he was playing for England, I'm sure he would be one of the first people saying he's so proud to be representing his country.
He wouldn't dare to say what he's saying now. So I think he needs to have a think about his words before he posts such nonsense. I'm not surprised that British people and people from this country are looking at him thinking, what are you on about, Gary? But anyway, he seems to be Gary Lineker 2.0. Thank you very much, Sunil Sharma. Really good to talk to you. That is Sunil Sharma. He's a commentator and podcast host